Then you have to deal with the bigger problem. Basic defense against stuff and anti-airs.
And while Ed has really great anti-air buttons, they aren't easy. No way in hell are they easy.
It's one thing when your opponent must always attack from the same direction or the same height or something.
Right.
But I don't really have to do that.
If you can predict where your opponent is going, he has great anti-airs. But like that, for example, doesn't have very good hitbox in terms of how big it is, so you have to be pretty precise with it. Same with his medium kick. In fact, that basically sums up why I think Ed is a technical character. In order to anti-air with Ed, you need to have very exact ranges. His execution may not be that hard, but his anti-airs need to be on point. And if you're good at anti-airing as a general thing, it sort of goes along with your spacing. If you're really good at spacing, you can probably handle Ed's anti-airs. If you're good at anti-airs, you can probably get through a lot of bronze because most of what people do in bronze is jump in. So, is he the best character when it comes to anti-airs? Not really, but that's not really the point of Ed. The point of Ed is to have tools for everything. They do allow you to have all the stages. I was not... Yes. Smooth jazz music. Anyway. He's definitely close to the level of execution specifics that Jury is. Jury has a tool for everything when it comes to anti-airs, but she has to pick the right tool for the right situation, otherwise she'll get clobbered.
On the other hand, there are characters who, once you get used to it, if you find this to be difficult, and you still want to keep on pressure, once again, Cammy is basically your character. Cammy can basically hit one button to anti-air nearly everything. Ibuki isn't too far off either. And of course, despite the fact that Ed is fundamentally trained by Balrog, Balrog's anti-airs are way better. Because with Ed, you're basically looking for a trick somewhere. The good thing is that he ends up spacing himself so far out that it's hard to jump in on him. So you can learn a lot of the anti-air stuff, but there's no way that most people are going to feel comfortable hitting buttons there because they have to know where I'm going to be, and it doesn't work out that easily. The speed works once he's defended properly.
And I know, Rillian, that you say he doesn't have that many tricky things, but I think that was pretty tricky.
No, it's not tricky, I'm sorry.
Fine. Well, it's certainly fun anyway.
Because I'm not really trying to do anything motion-wise against you at all. I'm basically trusting that you're going to move a particular way, but I'm not really trying to deal with it.
Which basically sums up how Ed goes.
Because if I do the deep jump in, I know I'll go over you. If I do the heavy punch jump in, different things will happen altogether. In fact, that is the first thing I've learned immediately about this matchup and this character. This is my jumping button against Ed. Because he won't be able to anti-air most of the time, and when he can anti-air it, he will anti-air incorrectly, because I'll move to the far side of him. Or it'll trade like that. The good thing is that her jump is floaty, so you get a little more time to do certain things. But overall, yeah, that's what you need EX meter just to be sure. And that's a problem.
Because he needs his EX meter as you saw, to keep up his throw pressure and his dash pressure. So while there's not many things to spend for Ed on his EX meter, he relies on them so heavily for his gameplay that unless you're not building meter efficiently, you're gonna have problems. And if you use your meter inefficiently, you're gonna notice, you're gonna feel it while you're landing on the ground face first because you got dragon punched or got into a target combo from Ryu or anything like that. So you have to be careful. You have to be careful of how you use your meter, probably more than anybody else. And for a character who has as low damage as Ed, this makes him a learning experience for people who rely on easy damage, for sure.
So, while it's relatively easy to anti-air Chun-Li, for many characters in fact, you start to run into trouble when your opponent has multiple air approaches. I didn't really use any of that on Akuma because what makes this look easier is that Jasmine is a Bison player. She's used to this, she's been forged in the fires of terrible anti-airs, and therefore has already learned how to space herself to deal with them. But if you aren't that good at it, or you want to rush people down, and don't want to spend a lot of time in neutral figuring out how to anti-air people, Ed is potentially going to frustrate a lot of what you're going to be trying to do because just look at that glorious jumping heavy kick. I didn't mean for you to jump.
Alright.
This isn't, like, impossible for Ed to anti-air, but I don't think you'd get that much. The button you have to press is so counterintuitive to most people that I don't think you'd manage it. Basically, you have to do this with his crouching medium punch. Otherwise, I can just literally do that the entire round.
Yeah,
and if you do
even
it too
that's
early,
hard
then you'll
to
still
do.
get killed.
Yep. It
And
has
I'm
3
pretty sure
active
that-
frames, so it's got that going for it, but it's like 8 frames of startup or something like that.
And if you do his V skill, it's 1, extremely slow. And even if you predict it, even if I jump at the exact same rhythm every time, the only reason this hits is because I jumped from far enough away. If I were to do what Nash is more known for, basically doing a crouching medium kick or crouching medium punch, and then doing this, you're never going to get that. Even if you're walking backwards with Ed's decent walk speed, you have to switch to a different anti-air. And then if you switch to different anti-air, then I'll start to do something different.
And that's the same problem Jury has. Jury has that exact problem. She has to switch to different anti-airs constantly in order to keep up.
So when your opponent is doing what I'm doing now and just jumping all the time, all you have to pay attention to is where you're standing in terms of which anti-air you want to use. But then what happens when I start making you actually think about other things? I'm not even throwing in dashes yet. But because you can't just basically hit buttons and expect everything to work out, you end up playing rush down, but then feeling as if when you do get cornered, when you do end up in a bad situation, you end up totally defeated. Because the rush down does work against someone who likes to push on you. Ed can handle dealing with people who hit too many of their own buttons. But if I'm just spacing out right, I can do all sorts of things that are able to make you focus on the ground, and then you become unable to do the air stuff in time. If you're comfortable with that, if you're the sort of person who says, well, I don't care about that, I can learn to space myself, then sure, you can play a character who has multiple different complicated anti-airs, like Chun-Li or like Bison, or obviously Jury. Or a character who basically doesn't have to set up the situation at all, like Rashid. But you can definitely say that you're pushing yourself pretty hard at that point, and if you don't like it, if it frustrates you when people jump on you, as much as it would seem like Ed is the character to deal with that, if your opponent is jumping correctly, I don't think it would come out all that well.